Songwriting can become a way of working through contradictions. Some artists translate instinctive ideas into something you can hold on to. Some songs come from a clear idea. Others come from trying to understand something that still doesn't fully make sense. This episode's all about that. I'm Kieron and this is The Hardest Part, where we go inside the making of the hardest songs artists have ever had to write. Today, I'm with Jamie from Tigercub, breaking down Fall In, Fall Out from the album Nets to Catch the Wind. Jamie told me the track captures the central tension of the record, opposites trying to connect, a circle of falling in and out, and the challenge of articulating feelings that first arrived as stream of consciousness writing and dreamlike ideas. In our conversation, we get into his process of starting on an acoustic guitar with melody first, writing lyrics afterwards to fit the emotional shape, and how keeping dream journals and filling notebooks became part of trying to understand what the song was actually saying. It's a look at how intuition, editing, and reflection all play a role in finishing a track, and how meaning often becomes clearer after the song already exists. He also performs an acoustic version of the song exclusively for us, which you can hear after my interview with Jamie from Tigercub.
Well, I'm Jamie. I'm the singer of a band called Tigercub, who are predominantly like a heavy rock band. But today I turned up with my tiny little acoustic guitar to play a little acoustic rendition of a track we have called Fall In, Fall Out off our latest record, Nets to Catch the Wind.
Brilliant. What's the song about?
The whole record was kind of inspired by dreams and the kind of liminal space between waking from a dream and this like in-between moment where it's kind of, I'm generally kind of a little bit confused, not very coherent, but sometimes thoughts and sort of deeply held truths sort of awaken in that moment. And it's sort of how you start the day and it can influence your whole day, how you wake. So I try to set the record in that space, which is, it is vague and it's a little bit ethereal, but I try to make art about things that live in that indescribable space where it's, you kind of need the song to try and explain or try and put forward like an emotional idea better than words can. Which is not a very good preface to an interview where we're here to talk about tracks. But yeah, that track in particular is just about this kind of female amalgam who represents, you know, deeper parts of my life and troubles and trauma that I'm trying to understand. And this whole record was really like this way of atoning and trying to sort of like reconstruct the sort of shattered fragments of what the harder parts of my life are and try and understand them after I've purged all the information. So I'm very like stream of consciousness when I write. It's hard to get specific, but it represents this sort of female force who I feel in my dreams, sense in my dreams that represents, you know, troubled times of the past. And I'm trying to, it's almost like the song is like trying to write down a dream journal after you've woken, trying to just capture this outpouring of thoughts and emotion.
It's interesting because a lot of people would say like dreams mean nothing, and obviously sometimes dreams can just be complete carnage. They like mean nonsense, right? And they're very hard to extract any true value from them. But you know, a lot of people say that they are a reflection of like really what's going on in your life, and the ways that you are probably not just manifesting them, but like actually handling those situations and those themes.
Yeah, totally. It's like your brain trying to sort of compartmentalize and reorganize things that have happened in your day or in the past, and it's trying to sort of form new passageways, which is really interesting. You know, I'm sort of, I will classify myself as sort of quite a repressed sort of person. I tend to disassociate a lot. So how I feel isn't readily on the surface.
Okay, interesting.
So I thought it was an interesting like place to try and live in, and try and find some emotional weight and some emotional depth in my songwriting, because this is Tigercub's 4th album.
Right.
So, you know, I've written a lot of songs now.
Yeah.
So trying to find new territory and not retread the same sort of pathways that I've been on it's kind of hard when you're on your 4th record.
Why does this song, after 4 records, so many songs have been written, and so many scrapped, I imagine, as well?
Oh, yeah.
Why is this one, like, in any way, shape or form, taking a little bit more out of you than normal?
Well, this is the lead track from our album, and I guess it sort of puts forward best the dichotomy of what I'm trying to wrestle with in my writing, and finding a new way to share something that people can hopefully connect with and like cathart with. And yeah, like the nature of Fall In, Fall Out, even by its very title, is it's about sort of opposites trying to connect, and dealing with a certain person in my life where, you know, you fall in, you fall out with them, you know, the line like touch faith in doubt. It's contradictory. It's quite a big part of life and being a human being, and like trying to understand like two things that are like counterpoints and like that are at odds. And I guess ultimately that's what the track is, you know. I don't want to name names or go like too deep, obviously, because I don't think it's very fair to put that out there. But yeah, it's just wrestling with a certain person in my life who we're just constantly on this cycle of like making up, and then we run the script and the pleasantries die out, and then the cycle fulfills itself, and everything breaks down again, and we're back right where we started. And this is something that's been going on for 15 years now. You know,
process repeats itself every time.
Yeah, exactly. And like the chorus of Fall In, Fall Out, like I'm caving in, this is goodbye. I guess it's like I'm trying to give myself permission. And I'm learning all of this stuff through going back through the lyrics, which were just intuitively put together, and the whole record was intuitively put together, trying not to like self-edit as much as I normally do, by my standards at least. And like trying to just look at it in the cold light of day. What is this thing that I've created? What does it represent? And I think it's like giving myself permission to end something and truly let go of the embers of something that's just set on fire and is completely fucked. It's about futility. That's what, and the title of Nets to Catch the Wind, I think that like it shares its name with a poetry collection by a poet called Eleanor Wiley. He's like an early 20th century poet. It's an amazing collection of poems. And there's just a sense of futility to that title, which I really resonate with. And I think Fall In, Fall Out definitely gets close to articulating the sense of futility, frustration that comes with like something that's just a fucking round peg in a square hole.
Do you think the process of writing this song helped you get to that point?
Massively.
Yeah.
Massively.
Do you remember how you were feeling beforehand, and then obviously the process of writing, and then where you were left afterwards?
Yeah, so I normally start with an acoustic guitar and just try and find the sort of how the melody's going to work against the chords. And that's like the first step in the journey, which is always the most enjoyable, because it's not like, it doesn't have the pressure of any kind of meaning on it yet. It's just like, let's make something that's like as melodic and as, you know, dissonant, harmonic as I can possibly make it. And then afterwards, it's almost like this sort of puzzle to try and, you know, fit a meaningful lyric and a meaningful sentiment within the confines of the melody that you've written, that you become attached to. So sing it with like vowel sounds to start with. You know, there's like a home demo of Fall In, Fall Out where I'm just singing gobbledygook, you know, and then after the fact I have to try and find creative ways and economic ways of articulating a feeling, which I don't know about at the time. which is a really interesting and probably the most enjoyable part of the process for me. But on this record, I kept dream journals. I did a lot of stream of consciousness writing, which is crazy. I don't know if you've ever done that before.
No, although it's funny because I actually wasn't very familiar with it at all, and I talk about songwriting every week with people.
Yeah.
And we had an artist on last week, and they were saying it was their new record is the very first time they're experimenting with it.
Cool.
Yeah. But go into it a little bit more.
It's a really fun way of working, and very true. And again, trying to pull away from self-editing and try and put something out there that feels real and authentic.
And you time constrain yourself, right?
I try to. I mean, there's always the very nature of like trying to fit into an album campaign and having like a full team around you, record label, booking agents. You know, there's different cycles that you need to try and time. You can't take too long. So it is inherently finite, but my outlook is always like I would rather have something arrive late and be something that I can truly say this is the best thing I'm capable of at this moment in time. So there was a time constraint, but I basically took a year after about 2 years of solid touring, a lot of American touring as well. So really,
long car rides,
blown out. But yeah, I took a year to write. Had like 1,000 voice memos, 50 songs. And then once I had a shape and I'd picked the tracks that I felt like harmonically and melodically represented where I am now as a songwriter and what I want to express to people, then came the process of like, right, let's try and master the lyric side and let's put as much energy into lyric writing and like the sentiment of the tracks as I can in a way that I've never done before. So just filling up journals and journals and journals full of writing. A lot of stream of consciousness. I was reading like some like Vladimir Nabokov stuff, and I was just sat there with my notepad open, and just whenever I'd find a nice turn of phrase, write it down, and just try and get more into that, like enjoying putting words together that aren't so shrouded in metaphor that they can still make sense, but they're not just like, you know, you're still showing rather than telling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's all a bit like, a bit pretentious really. You know?
My fear of night, awake till morning light, I hide, confide in twilight's rolling tide. Her lies, goodbyes, the apples of her eyes, stay wise till I can barely stand aside.
When you said you were touring America for a long time, were you writing during that process? Can you find it easy to write on the road?
No, I drink too much on tour to really fit anything else in.
Yeah.
And there's usually so much press and stuff going on and so much chaos that sort of follows us around.
Yeah.
I don't always get time to write, but sometimes a lot of good, like longer ideas, you know, like sort of vision of something can come to me quite clearly when I'm on the road. And I do get quite influenced by the bands that we tour with, the response to different songs that we play on the road every night to different crowds, sometimes our own crowd, sometimes another band's crowd that we're trying to win over.
Yeah.
So that has a huge impact. And when we first started touring the States, before we put out our third record, The Perfume of Decay, like traveling through, because you said you've spent a lot of time in the States.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time there. Yeah.
Traveling through like Arizona and like West Texas and getting into California and stuff, and like that absolute monolithic scenery that goes by. I think that like somehow worked its way into the music, where we ended up like slowing things down and things became like more weighty and heavy, and we try to leave a little bit more space between the notes for more of a like colossal maximalist impact, you know. So I'd definitely say touring in that respect, in quite an abstract way, maybe influenced the the weight of our songs.
Yeah.
But as far as like lyrical content, it's all part of my experience in life. But I found being at home and getting bored was more productive. You know, having time to spare and time to just let the dust settle and collect yourself.
Yeah.
You know, rather than being distracted by going to dinner with like radio people and like drinking
beer.
Yeah, and like rock music, which is like it's energetic and it's quite easy to escape anything like deep and emotional, because it's like it's a party sort of vibe and it's more about energy than it is like something.
And the thing about touring the US as well, which is amazing, is like 20, 30 dates. And it's not like even someone touring the UK where it's still 20 dates, but really even from the north to the south and west to east, it doesn't change too much, right? And within such a short amount of time, you can experience so many different variations of the same culture, religion, geography, temperature. It's such a mindfuck place to spend a lot of time.
They have everything there.
There's everything in every shape and size as well. It's like so many versions of everything. And I think for a band touring within that environment, to experience that every night, 20 different times in such a short amount of time, it's not kind of that fucking normal. Like I always think like it's such an inspiring time, right? Like I know that, you know, I know America has its faults and people love to pick up on certain things, but quite frankly, there's no beast like it. Like how many places? It's like 50 countries in one. It's such a random place.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
You absolutely nailed it. You could be in San Antonio, Texas 1 week, and then maybe 15 days later you're in Maine.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Or you're in Washington State and it's like something like being back home again.
Yeah.
You know? Or you're in fucking Canada or something like that, and it's you know,
completely
Calgary
different.
or something. It's so different, but at the same time as it being different, there's this spine that runs through it where the accents don't really change that much. The culture differs, but in very subtle ways. You're truly living when you're on tour. My senses are always really awake to things, and like it's just it's really nice just being in that like little cocoon where it's just everything's day to day and everything's changing, but it's the same. It's there's nothing quite like it. And like you say, touring Europe, you can kind of get close to that, like the continent of Europe, mainland Europe. Obviously, England's a part of Europe, but since we left Europe, sort of declassify it in my brain. But it's just a different beast entirely to touring the States. You know, and the fact that they have different laws between states and things are subtly different. But
also like small town living in the States is like on such a mammoth scale. You know, if you're from a small town in the UK, you're from a small town in the UK, and that all the cliches that fall into that are totally true. You go to small towns in the US and it's the entire universe there. You know, like there's no need to ever leave that ecosystem to live a prosperous life, and that's kind of weird. Like even on a small scale, it's still on a fucking massive scale compared to Europe.
Totally,
which is really weird.
It is really weird, and you're like, if you're in a small town, if you're in like Nebraska or somewhere, you're fucking hours away from anything.
Oh yeah, I mean that drive from Arizona you're saying to California. I mean, fill up your petrol tank.
Oh yeah, you could die.
Yeah, you could actually fucking
totally die. Yeah, it's absolutely fucking wild, man. And that definitely finds its way into the music, you know, in intangible ways. But yeah, with this record in particular, it was very much like my biggest step into just the sort of, I guess, the more literary side of lyric writing and trying to improve that area, or at least explore it in a meaningful way.
I think it's really interesting that actually, and I think a lot of people often cite inspiration from other art to their own process, and this record itself is so based on, you know, lots of literary works that you're, you know, consuming at the time. For artists whom are taking inspiration from all these different places, how do you take something from someone else and put your own stamp on it? How do you bring something in, try and understand what they meant by it, and then apply a new meaning for yourself, and then basically start that process again for your audience?
I love that question. Well, I was actually watching, I'm embarrassed to say, I watched like Blue Velvet for the first time.
Right, okay.
Right before I was getting ready to write the record. And I think just the spirit, and all art needs to do is make you feel something, and then it succeeds in its purpose. It's all it needs to do. It doesn't need to make you feel smart. It doesn't need to mean anything, but if it can express something that wasn't already there in a quick and effective way, it's fulfilled its purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that sentiment means you can look across different formats of expression and find interesting things. And like Blue Velvet especially, I was like, oh, this is all like what happens in your dreams, and that's why none of it makes sense. Now that penny's finally dropped, I'm embarrassed to say, so late into my life, because I never really got David Lynch before that. Everyone would just like rave about him, and it never found me in that way. And then I watched Blue Velvet, which I would say is like probably the best. Apart Twin Peaks as well, it's great, but probably the best way of, because I watched like Eraserhead, and I was like, whoa, I feel really weird watching this and really uncomfortable. But it didn't grab me in the same way that film did. And I think just like the intensity of confusion and like something that's just so garishly grotesque in how it has all of the same fundamentals as reality, but things are changed just so that they become grotesque.
Yeah. Twin Peaks is a really great example of that, because I mean, I remember watching that years and years ago, and everyone was like, this is so gonna be up your street. I didn't get it. And I watched it on my fifth run of being like, fuck it, I'm giving it a go again. I was like, shit, this is the best thing I've ever fucking seen. It's the most clever storytelling. Not even storytelling, like commentary. It's just commentary, isn't it, on like where the human condition, essentially. Totally. And it took me about 5 whole run throughs. I mean, if the soundtrack didn't go off so hard, I probably wouldn't have given it those 5
totally
tries.
It helps.
It really
totally
helps.
Yeah, it is. I found it kind of impenetrable. I just didn't look at it from the right angle. And then when the penny dropped, I was like, fucking hell. Where's this been my whole life? So I think like that in itself is reason you can totally carry that into music and express some of the similar. You can try and get the audience member to sort of go through the same journey that you've been through and that you want them to go through. So it's really cool. And like definitely reading helped me. I'm not really that big a reader. My partner is. She's actually a novelist, so I put her to shame. I'm just like, what's
occupational
that?
hazard.
Never read that. But that really helped me loads. And like filmmaking as well, like just classic, classic filmmaking.
That's why I love so much about Leonard Cohen's songwriting. I always like cite Leonard Cohen as, in my opinion, he is the greatest lyricist, poet, writer, whatever you want to call him, ever, because he wrote these things of such deep meaning, and you can assume what he's alluding to. He never really came out and ever said what anything meant, but you kind of know what he's getting at. But the whole idea is that you take it and you bring a new meaning yourself to it, right? It's like, this is my impression of Western democracy. I'm ensuing kind of what I think about it, but it's really for you to take and like use this as a guide to think about it yourself. And I think that's really powerful.
There's something so interesting in that, which I've found. I identify that in a lot of. I love Leonard Cohen as well, by the way. In a lot of music that I love, an unfinished idea. That's something so powerful. Leaving something unfinished almost completes it in a way, because there is enough of a gap in the door for someone to go and project their own interpretation on it. I listened to, I think it was, what's that Texan band called? They're like a sort of, they're really popular funk band, sort of. They wear like sort of solely funk, but it's super chill. They wear wigs. You know who they are.
Krangbin.
Karanbin, yeah. They did I think it was an Apple Music interview like relatively recently, and they were talking about the power of novels versus filmmaking. And it's like the guitar player, I wish I knew his name, but he was saying when you read a novel, if you read it at like 18 years old, you're gonna cast your own aspersions onto who those characters are, what those characters look like, based on where you are in your life right then. And it means that as you reread like a novel throughout your life, the book will evolve with you. And he was making a case that like that's why it's such a strong format, maybe arguably more powerful than film, because all you have in film is the director or the producer or the scriptwriter's intention of what it is, and then that's it. That's where there's no continuation to that. Doesn't make it fucking obsolete or shit, but I thought that was such an interesting take that he had.
Yeah.
Allowing something to be able to be interacted with and evolve beyond its own lifespan. Like you can just create it and let go of it, and then other people take hold of it, and they can complete the picture in their own mind as they journey on with it throughout their whole life. So that's just getting back to that Leonard Cohen like idea that you had there. Like, I think that's great.
Stand the sight, we fall in, fall out, touch faith in doubt, one love cast out in vain.
I always like asking songwriters about when they're talking about something so personal as well. You know, you said you're dealing with a lot of dark sides of your personality or your life. What's that process like of putting that on paper, having that conversation with yourself, even before you have that conversation with the world?
It's so hard. I edit myself, and I start to eat away at the purity of an idea to try and maybe protect someone who might be involved in what I'm trying to talk about. And just like protect myself from embarrassment or exposing something, a part of myself that just feels scary to share with people. But really, that's what people want, and that's what they deserve, you know. So I'm trying to get myself closer to that, to a place where I'm truly sharing something that's like plain for everyone to see. And I know I still wrap things in metaphor, which is a form of, it's because I'm scared and I'm trying to hide it just enough. So if you scratch beneath the surface, you can find out what the meaning is. And maybe like with an interview like this, it's pretty cool because I get a chance to like just give a little bit more detail and perspective on what the songs are about. Which might not be that obvious when you listen to them for the first time, but I hope as an artist I'll reach a point where I can make something and it's just everyone can tell me what it's about without me having to explain it. Yeah.
I don't want to overstep here, and you don't have to answer this question at all, but you said that, you know, there's a fear, you're scared of something. Do you think you're more scared of the outcome of the realization of the new version of what that relationship will be with that person, or them kind of hearing it and connecting the dots?
Both. I think there's really strong thoughts that I've held about things that have happened in my life and things that have happened with other people that have completely changed 10 years later. And I would have regretted having broadcast my initial thoughts in the past about that situation. And I do think like it's not fair to air other people's dirty laundry. So I would hope whatever I can make can just be within my own, only represent how I feel and not necessarily call anyone out. So I guess with this record, I'm trying to deal with other people indirectly while sparing them from any kind of like, you know, putting people on blast. Because like Lily Allen did that record recently. Where
David Harbour.
Yeah, and
That's pretty literal. I mean, you don't need to do much.
fucking no holes barred.
There's no
you know,
metaphors in there, really, is there?
which is great. That it's
yeah.
no.
It's very honest.
It is what it is,
Yeah.
and I admire that massively. But fuck me, you know, all of those interview questions are going to be about this.
Yeah.
This thing that you put into the world, this information that you've shared. You know, it's gossipy and it's very.
It's a great record, but it did fucking ruin Stranger Things for me. So
It like interacts with all the things around it. It's fucking wild.
every
and
time there's something happens where, like, I don't know what's David Harbour's character called, but it's like does
just-
something like heroic. I'm just like, fuck you, bro.
Yeah, totally. That's
Yeah.
so scary, and I really admire her
Yeah,
for
yeah.
being able to fucking just light it up like that. You know, just fucking hit the nuclear button and
Yeah, but what I also love about that
Burn it
record
down.
is it's so literal. You know, it's almost crass with how literal, especially the lyrics are, right? But there is such a genius in making something so literal, so beautiful. You know, most people are spending ages wrapping things up to make them sound beautiful, and
Totally.
that is so blunt and raw, yet so velvety and cherry on top. It's really clever songwriting.
I admire it so much.
Yeah.
It's so brave and good.
Yeah.
Done well. That's what we should all be aiming for, I think. You
So
know.
this track is, you know, less a call out, but maybe more something that people can maybe listen to and make sense of a similar cycle they may be in.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think you can sort of pick the breadcrumbs from it. Maybe there'll be a certain turn of phrase in it that just sticks with you. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had that before with certain tracks
Yeah.
where, you know, I'm not fully like up to scratch with like the literal meaning of the song, but there's just a turn of phrase in it which is just absolutely mine.
Yeah.
And like that's enough for me to get like absolute fulfillment from that track. So I still think it's like that's a really cool way to go, and I'm really comfortable and happy like putting out my thoughts, feelings, moods, however like hazy they might be. I'm really happy with that, but I definitely look at other artists who are like just fearless, and I really admire it. You know, it's one of the nice things about working with Stone Gossard. He's the founder of Loose Groove Records,
Yeah.
who is the record label that my band Tigercub signed to. And I talked to him about his process, and he likes to, you know, try and pull me away from my habits that I'm in and my places of safety and where I'm comfortable, and try and get me out of my comfort zone. And his thing is like, just go jump off a cliff. Not
Yeah,
literally.
yeah.
That would be funny though if he was. Just
Yeah.
go.
And you're going away and you're like, he's giving me all this great advice, and he's sat there being like, no, mate, I literally told you to go jump off a cliff.
Yeah, no, you're not understanding me. Literally.
Do it.
But he's like, I asked him about this record he did with Neil Young, and it was like the lead single off it was the first take that they all did, and it was like you just go and you just
Fucking go for
you
it.
just jump, and maybe you'll land it, and that's the fucking opposite to me. You know, I'm contrived,
Yeah.
which I think that's a really good. I'm grateful that I have that. I have someone like that in my life who's just the, you know, kind of the opposite end of the spectrum of things, where it's like I don't want to learn my instrument that well because it'll pervert my pure creativity that's going to come out. So that's something I'm grateful for, just sort of pulling me away from my comfort zone.
So we finished all these interviews with the same question, and it comes from a place where one of my favourite bands released a new record. Everyone's telling me it's one of their best records yet. I just specifically listened to this lead song off it. I listened to it, I hated it. I felt really disappointed by the whole record. And then straight afterwards, I heard an interview with the lead singer pointing out these really specific nuances in actually the vocal delivery and the lyrics about what the song actually meant. And then I listened to it again, and with that context, it became my favourite song of theirs.
That's cool.
And I think so many people miss the chance to speak to artists, because I think once you hear the nuances and the intricacies of the process of what it really means, the technicalities of a track, it can take a whole new meaning. So our audience are about to listen to the session you just did in full. Is there any nuance, any lyric, anything you really want them to listen out to, which is going to change the way they perceive it?
The first verse really just sets the tone for the record, you know. My fear of night, awake till morning light. I hide, confide in twilight's rolling tide. Her lies, goodbyes, the apples of her eyes stay wide until I can barely stand the sight. That's the record right there. And like, it totally represents how there's definitely something cutting in there, but it's very much like you've got to scratch beneath the surface to really understand. You've kind of got to decode that, you know. And I guess like at the heart of Fall In, Fall Out, that's my exploration into the world of lyrics and the putting as much depth as I can fit into my lyrics. And sometimes I'm successful and sometimes I'm not. And I think Fall In, Fall Out's probably my best shot at trying to articulate this fucking deep chasm of meaning that I'm still trying to understand. Like I said at the start of the interview, like I basically purged everything and it just came out stream of consciousness. And then I had to sort of go back and sort of pick the bones out of everything and try and reorganize this like mess that my brain is, and these little avenues of, oh no, I'm going to repress that, nope, disassociating from that, and I'm hiding from myself almost, you know what I mean? It's like a battle between my subjective brain and the objective part of my brain. So it's a journey of discovery that I'm on as well as the listener, you know what I mean? Which is very weird.
Jamie, thanks for joining us in The Hardest Part.
Thanks, dude.
My fear of night, awake till morning light. I hide, confide in twilight's rolling tide. Her lies, goodbyes, the apples of her eyes stay wide till I can barely stand the sight. We fall in, fall out, touch faith in doubt. One love cast out in vain. We fall in, fall out, heartache inbound to break down. Inside I hide, capsize the search for peace of mind. Her lies, goodbyes, the apples of her eyes stay wide till I can barely stand the sight. We fall in, fall out, touch faith in doubt. One love cast out in vain. We fall in, fall out, heartache inbound to break down. I'm caving in. This is goodbye.
Thanks for tuning in to The Hardest Part. If you enjoyed the show, please do rate and review. And you can check out our entire back catalogue of interviews, features and sessions on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We're on all major streaming platforms. We'll catch you next time.